Yeah, congratulations to NC State and Coach Dorn. I think they earned the victory today. We played well enough to make it interesting, but not well enough to win the game. Our inability to run the ball consistently and their surprising ability to run the ball, those two things kind of were the backstory of, I think, what led to the outcome as it was. I was encouraged when it was 27-14. We had the ball down there and went for it on fourth. I thought we got a great chance now to finish this game out and possibly pull off a comeback. But again, just not consistent enough to make that play. Really was impressed with Bryce Perkins' effort and competitive spirit and ability and effectiveness. He did a really nice job of keeping drives alive, keeping the ball moving, and I would say the same as a bright spot with Tavares Kelly emerging and making some plays today at probably a higher level. Really encouraged by AJ's onside kick. That was executed exactly right in a critical moment. So that was one instance where our execution matched the situation at a really high level. There just simply wasn't enough of those plays to win the game. Defensively, again, really surprised about their ability to run the football. Some of the same things that appeared in the Indiana game in terms of assignment, consistency. The loss of Jordan Mack certainly did affect the outcome. The loss of Brent Nelson certainly did affect the outcome, but that doesn't excuse the outcome. And so the consistency of the run fits, to me, allowed the ball to be moved more than it needed to be. The next story would be third down, their ability to play really well on third down. Those two things kind of allowed the game to yield the points that it did for their offense. So yeah, I'll take questions.
Let's go Jeff, then Doug, then Mike.
Did you think you'd be able to get more pressure on Finley, or did you need to get more pressure to have a chance in this game?
Yeah, so it's a combination, right, of pressure and coverage. And so we knew the statistics, which number of sacks going into this game and number of sacks the entire year last year. And so it's not an accident. We kind of pride ourselves on being able to hit the quarterback, and we didn't. And so their protection and the ability to throw and catch the football, or throw with incompletes and have us pass interfere, not defend cleanly, it's basically the same result, right? So they threw and caught and protected on third down better than we rushed and covered and executed. And that hasn't happened it didn't seem like that for a long time in terms of a team having that much success consistently on third down, which I attribute to their protection, their quarterback, and their receiver play. And so those three areas in that setting on third down made it. We did not play well, nor did we execute well enough to get off the field frequently enough.
Doug?
You haven't mentioned the final minute of the first half. How much of a turning point was that?
Yeah, let's see if I can remember it. So what I do remember is the interception that we threw, which led to the last play being a field goal. And somewhere in there was the spot that was called a first down on the quarterback fumble. So, yeah.
You sent your offense out there, it looked like.
I was told by the official that it wasn't going to be a first down, that we had stopped him. So once I was told that, then we sent our offense out, and then they changed their mind.
In terms of the ineffectiveness of the run game for you, and I know it's fresh, but was it offensive line? Was it Jordan's decision? What did you see there?
No, it's the offensive front versus their defensive front. Similar things manifest in Indiana. This defensive front was better, and so we're getting a clearer idea of what that looks like now against the better opponents up front. What that matchup looks like, which is going to have to frame what we do and how we do it.
Is it a surprise? Was it a little bit of fool's gold having it played earlier?
I would say that we were realistic, but certainly disappointed of our result. And we're just getting a clearer idea of where our matchups, where our execution, where those areas really are. And each game we play gives us more feedback. And again, it was just enough to kind of make it intriguing there for a minute, but not good enough to take it over.
Dave, then Ron, then Brad.
Bronco, you mentioned how surprising their ability to run the football was. Number 20, perhaps the biggest surprise, just because he'd been fighting some injuries and hadn't.
Man, I'm not even really sure, no discredit to him. It mattered. I'm not sure it mattered who it was. It was just when I stand and watch I position myself back and I can see the inconsistencies right in front of my eyes. And so I'll give him credit for running the ball well, but our execution, it doesn't look like a flat wall, meaning every gap handled. We're just, we're inconsistent. And we saw it again once this year early in Indiana, kind of did get addressed, and then I saw it again today, surprisingly so, and thought it was fixed, but it wasn't.
And then just real quickly, you mentioned Brenton's absence. What was his?
Concussion.
Coach, we saw it in Indiana, we saw some in Ohio, but the DBs just aren't winning 50-50 balls. They aren't winning at the point of attack. Is that an effort thing? Is that technique? What is that?
No, I'm not sure there is one thing, but there's enough pass interferences. There's enough balls caught by receivers. I couldn't tell you the exact percentage right now, but those balls in the ACC especially, and to have the success we need to and want, yeah, everyone has to make plays within their assignment and within their technique, and that is within their assignment and technique. They have to win those matchups.
And what do you lose when you don't have Jordan Mack out there?
Well, we lose experience, we lose leadership, we lose consistency, and we lose production. Again, none of that explains, or none of that is okay in terms of still not being assignment sound. And so I believe Rob Snyder played well, and Zane, they're growing and learning and doing a nice job. It's not just that position, but every one of the positions influences. We have a lot of just fundamental work to do in a game like this, an ACC game on the road, for our execution to hold and be solid enough to give us a chance right to the very end. And we were kind of right there at the end, but not close enough.
Brett and Mike and Jeff.
Coach, how important is this bye week for you guys, and what would be your plan? You guys are obviously pretty banged up. What sort of plans do you have for this coming week?
Yeah, a couple of things. Recovery, certainly. Any player we can get back will help. Analysis, getting rid of dead plays, dead calls. That means yield. Even though we do it each week, what players and or what calls are not yielding that can be eliminated to be wasted plays during a game, where we might think the concept is great and man, just one more time and we'll make it work. There's some of those that just have to go away. And some of those, so we have some tough decisions to make in terms of shaping our identity. So recovery, analysis, and practice. That's, so we have, yeah, a lot of work to do.
You praised your defensive assistants for calling the game last week. Yeah. Were you guys happy with the calls today, and is that something you reevaluate?
I'll reevaluate as I do every part of the program, not only after every practice, so I watch every play of every practice of every player, and feedback goes out to my entire organization. Same thing happens after games. And yeah, what was good a week ago cannot be good the next week, and it wasn't. And so we did not play good enough defense today to win the game, and that's just kind of matter of fact.
When a team puts as much emphasis on not letting Bryce run as State did today, were there other things open that the offense wasn't able to capitalize on because of that? So
I think you saw quite a few possession throws, just throwing and catching with it, just kind of methodically, 8 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards. And there was a few shots downfield that were longer plays that we actually threw and caught pretty well. It was really anything that was in the range in between of longer than possession and without enough protection to be a shot. Those plays were dead plays. More importantly, our core run game was ineffective, and that changes everything.
Coach, you were talking about being assignment sound. On the last touchdown that Finley threw, it was like pretty good coverage, and he threw it to a spot where
back shoulder,
yeah. Only to the offense, the receiver was going to catch the ball. Is there anything you can do about a guy who can do that?
So we practiced so extra time and extra volume on just that, what we call back shoulder. And so when you're covering a player, it can be, kind of over the shoulder, or it can be back shoulder, and you really have to be skilled at the last second to assess where that ball is when you're a defensive back. So Rob Snyder was in great position on the tight end. If you remember that throw, and he kind of bobbled it, and he's taller and longer and made a better play than us. And the play against Bryce, I think it was Bryce, yeah? Yeah. It's hard to be in better position, and it's hard to have a better guy on him. Their player, in that case, executed at a higher level than ours, and really had not much to do with the call. That's just kind of where we are, where there's 1, 2, 3, I don't know, a handful of plays that we have to make. to come on the road and win a game like this. And there's plenty of other stuff behind, but really it still comes down to there's a handful of those plays, and we didn't make enough of them.